The United States trade deficit with all of its trading partners was $500 billion in 2016. That's the equivalent of nearly 3% of the U.S. economy. Is that trade deficit a problem? First, what is a trade deficit? A trade deficit happens when a country's imports of goods and services exceed its exports of goods and services. In other words, when a country buys more from the rest of the world than it sells, the country incurs a trade deficit. What are the economic costs to the United States of the trade deficit? Because the United States persistently spends more than it earns, and because the dollar has been historically strong, the United States must either borrow from foreign lenders or attract investment from abroad. So the longer trade deficits persist, the greater the extent of foreign financial claims on the United States. Those claims take the form of loans that must be either refinanced or repaid, or in the form of U.S.-based assets purchased by foreigners with the U.S. dollars they earn. Now, those assets can include whole firms, buildings, land, and a few other items as well. If net foreign claims become a very high fraction of the U.S. gross domestic product, the burden of paying interest and dividends and rents and royalties could drain the U.S. economy. Since U.S. imports are concentrated in manufactured goods, a larger deficit translates into fewer manufacturing jobs. But deficits are only one part of the long-term manufacturing job loss. Labor-saving automation and information technology explain most of the decline in manufacturing jobs in recent decades. Today, manufacturing jobs account for 8.5% of the U.S. labor force. In 1970, they accounted for 26.5% of the labor force. Does the United States trade deficit have any economic benefits? Well, yes. The trade deficit brings in tangible resources from abroad for investment in the U.S. economy. Foreign-owned firms operating in the United States pay above average wages, they invest more in research and development, and they enhance the productivity of U.S. companies with which they compete. Larger imports also enable American consumers to purchase a variety of goods at lower costs, dampening inflationary pressures when the economy approaches full employment, which is where it's approaching today. Finally, by buying more from abroad, the United States stimulates the economies of U.S. trading partners, enabling them to buy more U.S. goods and services. Today, world growth is pretty lethargic and in need of a boost. So, is the trade deficit good or bad? Well, the answer is not one-sided. When an economy is growing rapidly or experiencing high inflation, economists generally believe that the benefits from a trade deficit outweigh its costs. But during a recession, or when a country suffers deflation, a trade deficit can do more harm than good. This was Clyde Hufbauer, a senior fellow with the Peterson Institute for International Economics.